Lesson 137. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. Welcome to the Qigong support for A Course in Miracles students. I am Judith and you're at the Lucid Mind Center. As you know, how this works is this. First, we're going to read and contemplate the lesson together. And then after that, I'm going to guide you to a Qigong class, which is specially recorded for A Course in Miracles students, which you can apply the lesson, the Course in Miracle lesson to the Qigong class. In each of those classes, I remind you to remember your lesson. It is also suitable to the topic of what we are doing, or the topic, the idea we are dealing with in this particular Course in Miracle lesson. And you can do a moving meditation with Qigong, or you can do a seated meditation with Qigong, and there's different lengths. So I will recommend a couple of Qigong classes which I find as specifically suitable to that. Maybe I even record one specifically for that particular lesson. And otherwise, I'm going to guide you to a playlist where you can choose a different Qigong class of a different length, different depth, a different idea which you have yourself. Before we start, I would love you to tell me where you're watching from. Also, please subscribe to my channel so other Course in Miracle students can find me and benefit from those Qigong classes. And also, if you have never done a class with me, I suggest you watch part 1 and 2 of how Qigong can help you as a Course in Miracle student. And please give me a like on this class, and at the end, tell me how it went for you. Let's begin. Lesson 137. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. Just also want to remind you that whatever comes through while I'm reading this lesson, whatever idea come through at this time, I will not censor them. I will not cut them out. So whatever needed to come through has come through. It doesn't necessarily mean that if I would re-listen to it again, that I would actually leave it there. It is just I'm trusting that whatever comes through is what needs to come through at this time, that either you or me need to hear it. Today's idea remains the central thought on which salvation rests. Our idea is when I'm healed, I am not healed alone. For healing is the opposite of all the world's ideas which dwell on sickness and on separate states. Sickness is a retreat from others and a shutting off of joining. It becomes a door that closes on a separate self and keeps it isolated and alone. So you might remember this in previous lessons. I always felt that when we are seeing this darkness is because we are creating like a pocket or a box of darkness, and then we are looking within into this darkness of that box. And we're like, where's the light? Where is the light? And all we actually just need to do is open up the door of this box, or just turn around and realize that we are always within the light, like we are always within the air, like we are always within the universe. We are always in the atmosphere of the earth, and our body is within our mind. So when we are looking at it that way, we realize that what we are doing is we are shutting ourselves off. And that is what is meant here. Sickness is a retreat from others and a shutting off of joining. It becomes a door that closes on a separate self and keeps it isolated and alone. When I am healed, I am healed. I am not healed alone. Sickness is isolation, for it seems to keep oneself apart from all the rest, to suffer what the others do not feel. It gives the body final power to make the separation real and keep the mind in solitary prison, split apart and held in pieces by a solid wall of sickened flesh which it cannot surmount. The world obeys the laws that sickness serves, but healing operates apart from them. And there's a couple of things I need to unpack here with you. So first it says here, for it seems to keep oneself apart from all the rest, to suffer what the others do not feel. It gives the body final power to make the separation real and keep the mind in solitary prison, split and held in pieces by a solid wall of sickened flesh which it cannot surmount. So there is a mind, which is a one self, and this mind is split apart. That mind is split into pieces and held in pieces, and it's held in those imaginary pieces which we have created by a solid wall of sickened flesh which it cannot surmount. So what it means is that each one of our mind is actually one. You and me are one. But for some reason, and we know why, because of the ego, we have split ourselves up and we are living under the illusion that we are each separate from each other. That whatever I think somehow doesn't influence you, and whatever you think, it doesn't influence me. But it actually, we are all influenced by each other, by the train of thoughts we are allowing to be present in our awareness. So it says here, split apart and held in pieces. So I think that my mind is a piece, is apart and separate by a solid wall of sickened flesh which cannot surmount. The world obeys the laws that sickness serves by healing, but healing operates apart from those world laws. And this is where we come in. We come in and say, okay, we are not going to obey the laws of this world. We are going to obey other laws. It is impossible that anyone be healed alone. In sickness must he be apart and separate. But healing is his own decision to be one again and to accept his self with all its parts intact and unassailed. In sickness does his self appear to be dismembered and without the unity that gives it life, the big self with a capital S. But healing is accomplished as he sees the body has no power to attack the universal oneness of God's Son. And in this particular moment, I feel very separate. I have got some issues which I cannot see. And this is like this whole, I've got different issues which are making me feel separate and poorly. And I'm not actually physically sick, but I feel mentally alone. I feel kind of alone and almost lonely. But I think it's part of that empty nest syndrome. And I think that there's some sort of a transition happening and coming my way. And there is this sadness and isolation I feel. I feel like I need to go out there. And I think it's also got to do with that I'm reading this lesson, that I'm reading this to you. And because I'm reading it out loud and I'm contemplating, I really need to understand it to be able to transmit. There are certain things which I maybe didn't want to deal with before, and they are coming full power to me. So I am kind of realizing, well, if I am supposed to trust life more, I am not trusting life as much as I should. So there is some kind of a sadness and a fear, and at the same time feeling separate. It's a very, very diffuse feeling which I cannot 100% pinpoint because I haven't understood it 100%. But it says it here. In sickness does his self of the Son of God appear to be dismembered and without the unity that gives it life. And this is exactly what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like completely dismembered. But healing is accomplished as he sees the body has no power to attack the universal oneness of God's Son. And I'm feeling isolated. I'm feeling that I am not being enough of service, if you will, because I don't actually see people in flesh. I am connected here online, but I'm seeing far too little people in flesh. All my life, all my job and work is online. So I see only my husband and a few people. My children are not here, so I am kind of feeling very strange. Sickness would prove that lies must be truth, but healing demonstrates that truth is true. The separation sickness would impose has never really happened. To be healed is merely to accept what always was the simple truth and always will remain exactly as it has forever been. Yet eyes accustomed to illusions must be shown that what they look upon is false. So healing never needed by the truth must demonstrate that sickness is not real. Let me just say this. Yet eyes, accustomed to illusion, must be shown that what they look upon is false. So healing, never needed by the truth, must demonstrate that sickness is not real. Healing might thus be called a counter dream, which cancels out the dream of sickness in the name of truth, but not in truth itself. Just as forgiveness overlooks all sins that never were accomplished, healing but removes illusions that have not occurred. Just as the real world will arise to take the place of what has never been at all, healing offers restitution for imagined states and false ideas which dreams embroider into pictures of the truth. Yet think not healing is unworthy of your function here. Let me repeat this again. Yet think not healing is unworthy of your function here. For Antichrist becomes more powerful than Christ to those who dream the world is real. The body seems to be more solid and more stable than the mind, and love becomes a dream while fear remains the one reality that can be seen and justified and fully understood. And there is many of us on this planet at this particular moment who believe this, who believe that the body is more solid and that the love is a dream. Just as forgiveness shines away all sin and the real world will occupy the place of what you made, so healing must replace the fantasies of sickness which you hold before the simple truth. When sickness has been seen to disappear, in spite of all the laws that hold it cannot but be real, then questions have been answered and the laws can be no longer cherished nor obeyed. Healing is freedom, and this is so much what I cherish and so much desire is total freedom. This is what I so much want. For it demonstrates that dreams will not prevail against truth. Healing is shared, and by this attribute it proves the laws, unlike the ones which hold that sickness is inevitable, are more potent than their sickly opposites. Let me just repeat this. And by this attribute it proves that laws, unlike the ones which hold that sickness is inevitable, are more potent than their sickly opposites. I had to read this 3 times before I actually understood the sentence. Okay, so what it means, this sentence, it's that laws, unlike the ones which hold the sickness, so the laws which are saying that healing is shared or healing is strength, they are much more potent, they are much more powerful than their sickly opposites, which are believing that sickness is stronger than health. But to actually realize this, or admit it to ourselves, or allow ourselves to take this in as truth, is in itself a healing process, and it's a little battle within, I find. Healing is strength, for by its gentle hand it is weakness overcome, and minds which were walled off within a body, free to join with other minds, to be forever strong. And minds which were walled off within a body are now free to join with other minds to be forever strong. And I'm so longing that. I am so longing that to be together with other minds. So longing to have a chat, have a talk with real people, flesh. To have this connection. Because as much as I think it's wonderful that we can have this chat together on through the net, it would be so much nicer if we could do this actually in person. And I feel that this is what I need to do. I need to go traveling. I need to go and meet people in real flesh. Healing, forgiveness, and the glad exchange of all the world of sorrow for a world where sadness cannot enter are the means by which the Holy Spirit urges you to follow him. His gentle lesson teach how easily salvation can be yours, how little practice you need undertake to let his laws replace the ones you made to hold yourself a prisoner to death. His life becomes your own as you extend the little help he asks in freeing you from everything that ever caused you pain. And so you let yourself be healed. You see all those around you, or who cross your mind, or whom you touch, or those who seem to have no contact with you, healed along with you. Perhaps you will not recognize them all, nor realize how great you're offering to all the world when you let healing come to you. But you are never healed alone. And legions upon legions will receive the gift which you receive when you are healed. Those who are healed become the instruments of healing. Nor does time elapse between the instant they are healed and all the grace of healing it is given them to give. What is opposite to God does not exist. And who accepts it not within his mind becomes a haven where the weary can remain to rest. For here is truth bestowed, and here are all illusions brought to truth. Would you not offer shelter to God's will? You but invite yourself to be at home, and can this invitation be refused? Ask the inevitable to occur, and you will never fail. And this is so important. Ask the inevitable to occur, and you will never fail. So if you choose to do what is the inevitable, if you know that this is what's going to come, the healing of the world will come, and if you choose to work towards that, you cannot fail. The other choice is but to ask what cannot be to be, and this cannot succeed. Today we ask only truth. Today we ask that only truth will occupy our minds, that thoughts of healing will this day go forth from what is healed to what must be healed, aware that they will both occur as one. Okay, let me repeat this. Today we ask that only truth will occupy our minds. Today we want only that. Our lesson is, when I am healed, I am not healed alone. That thoughts of healing will this day go forth from what is healed to what must be healed, aware that they will both occur as one. We will remember as the hour strikes, our function is to let our minds be healed, that we may carry healing to the world, exchanging curse for blessings, pain for joy, and separation for the peace of God. Is not a minute of the hour worth the giving to receive a gift like this? Is not a little time a small expense to offer for the gift of everything? Yet must we be prepared for such a gift. And so we will begin the day with this and give 10 minutes to those thoughts with which we will conclude today at night as well. So our meditation practice is going to be 10 minutes today at least. When I am healed, I am not healed alone, and I would share my healing with the world, that sickness may be banished from the mind of God's one Son, who is my only self. I really think that this needs to be written down. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. You need to write this down at least one time. And I would share my healing with the world, that sickness may be banished from the mind of God's one Son, who is my only self. So there's one Son of God, and there's that one self, and we are all part of that one self. Remember when I said there's this higher consciousness and there is all our split off minds, and we are only hearing the tip all the time and think that this is who we are. But what we really need to do is we need to sink deep into our consciousness. And when we sink deep into our consciousness, we realize that we are never alone, that we're always part of this one self, of this higher consciousness, of this holy self, who all of us belong to. It's like the leaves of a tree. We all belong to the same tree. And we have just forgotten that. Let healing be through you this very day. Let me say it again. Let healing be through you this very day. And as you rest in quiet, be prepared to give as you receive, to hold but what you give, and to receive the word of God to take the place of all the foolish thoughts that ever were imagined. Now we come together to make well all that was sick and offer blessings where there was attack. Nor will we let this function be forgot as every hour of the day slips by, remembering our function with this thought: when I am healed, I am not healed alone, and I would bless my brothers, for I would be healed with them as they are healed with me. Understanding that sickness is a choice we make, and to admit this to us is a big deal. And so, like I said, I really definitely think you need to write this down, and you should spend at least 10 minutes twice a day, but maybe you want to spend a longer period to meditate on this. So I suggest this class, this Qigong class. This is a seated class. Here you have got a standing class, and here you can choose another Qigong class if you prefer. I wish you a wonderful class. Enjoy, and let me know how it goes for you.